If you enjoy movies, comic books, and pop culture, be sure to like and subscribe.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the REC podcast, brought to you by REC Comics and Collectibles. I'm your host, Roman Chavez, and with me as always,
Erik Icarus.
Erik,
what's up, homie?
You can find us on the gram at REC Podcast. You can follow myself at Roman REC Podcast. You can follow the shop at REC Comics, or you can come by at 7679 North Union Boulevard in Colorado Springs, Colorado. You can find the man in the streets, in the sheets,
in the cheeks,
taking smoked meats.
Hey!
You can find him.
I can dig it.
And on the ones and twos, the big tuna, Jordan Tunney.
Woo!
Woo! Woo! Are you trying to make it so that you look different from the last episode?
Yes.
Right.
How did you know?
Sorry.
Oh, no. Well, you got to wear the logo. Your booster gold.
This is not that kind of episode.
Hold on.
This is not the live stream.
All right, there we go. All right. So now you know that there's two episodes, okay? In our previous episode, we were talking about James Gunn's announcement on the on the DC Comics, films that are coming out. We spent more time just on the television shows, but we like the meat.
We did.
We like the potatoes,
we like meat.
but we want the meat. I'm going to put my arm back.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And we are going to talk the films. The first film project is going to be Superman Legacy. Superman Legacy, which will be written by James Gunn. Do we know if he's directing it? No? Okay. I'm curious to see if he'll find somebody to do it. Just have one of his ilk take care of it, or if he'll do it himself.
Gunn was sitting next to Peter when the comment was mentioned regarding whether or not he'd be directing. Safran said he hopes Gunn, quote, can be persuaded perhaps to direct as well, and Gunn very much pulling a move of a Lady Gaga, kept a poker face.
Oh,
I like it.
I prefer to see some Joker face, but we'll see what happens. This is going to be a form of origin. It's going to follow him in his younger years, a la Smallville, to an extent. We don't know any real details, but I think it is a good idea for them to establish a backstory for Kal-El and for Clark Kent. It sounds like we're going to be building a new universe. So let's take the time. Let's have the payoff happen. I have some things to say about future things we're going to talk about, but we'll get there.
Right.
Erik, as a diehard Superman fan who loves him more than Batman, does this get you going?
Honestly, anything with Superman, I'm very stoked for, just because I don't think it's been done 100% right yet.
Sure.
Every iteration has their strengths and weaknesses, but I think now they can look back and be like, okay, what can we pull here?
Yeah.
Not only do they have 80 years of comics to pull from, but they have how many live action iterations to pull from? Mm-hmm. They have a lot to do here, and I'm excited to see where they go. I'm more I feel like we were talking about this earlier, but I do want to see that kind of pull between his Kryptonian heritage and his adopted human heritage. Mm-hmm. I want to see more of that.
I agree.
Okay.
I think that Man of Steel didn't do enough to establish the relationship of the Kents. I don't care when Jonathan Kent dies in Man of Steel.
No.
Yeah. Oh, boy. All right. I don't care about it.
I like it when he tells him, wait, I should have just let him die? Maybe.
Yeah. And then watch.
That's some wise words, Pa Kent.
Yeah. I didn't think they nailed the Kents there in something like Smallville.
Oh, right.
They really, early on, the first 5 or 6 seasons, the Kents are very, very, they're so integral into why he is the way he is.
Oh, yeah.
They help him with his powers. They answer his questions. They try to help him about his past. They're good parents.
They're great.
And not that old Yellowstone wasn't a good dad.
Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner wasn't a good dad.
And Diane Lane?
And Diane Lane.
Yeah, she's great.
Diane Lane.
And Pete from Smallville. He was great.
I want to see good Superman character development because most people don't care about Superman.
Which is strange to me.
They're bored by him.
They're I get it. He's OP, but there's so many cool stories you can tell with that. Mm-hmm. You know who the real villain in Smallville was, right? I can't remember the actress's name, but she's a very bad woman. You're very bad. She played the blonde lady.
Why would you do that?
What's her
Because
name?
If you don't know her name.
What's her name?
Oh, the one in the cult.
The cult, yes. What's her-
Allison Mack.
Allison Mack. Yeah.
I
What
said
was the
Alex
char-
Mack.
Alex Mack. What was the character's
Secret
name?
Life as well.
Yeah, see? It's all time. What was the character's name?
She was, it's killing me, I'm not sure. But Chloe.
Chloe.
She was Chloe something or other.
Yeah.
And what a great addition to Smallville.
Is that a Dutch last name?
I believe it is.
Chloe Sullivan. There we go. I got there. God, man, I really did get there. Yeah, it's in here, kids. It's in here. Not to be outdone for the ladies, they announced, very shockingly, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which is a fairly new series in comics. They've done the Supergirl backstory a bunch of different ways. Initially, think about it. Kara, Supergirl, and Clark, they leave Krypton at the same time. Yet, he's a baby and she's a teenager. Well, what happens is her ship gets knocked off course.
Right.
Clark gets to Earth. He grows up with the Kents. Well, while Kara's ship is stuck in space and she's kind of in stasis, she ends up making her way to Earth eventually, and is shocked to find that not only is her nephew her cousin, an adult, but he's the greatest superhero to ever live.
Right.
It's ripe with conflict and
There's
what to do.
a woman's suffrage metaphor in there, I'm sure.
Probably there's some stuff, but it is the Woman of Tomorrow storyline actually has it to where she kind of grows up on a piece of Krypton,
right?
Like floating through space. So
I'm not going to recycle.
Essentially kryptonite, but and alone. So what does that do to a person? So
Space madness,
the deep down crazies,
wet willies,
the wet willies.
So do you think they're going to be pulling from like Jeff Johns' run on this?
This is not Jeff Johns'
I thought
run.
He did do.
This is I actually don't know off the top of my head,
but he did do something with it, didn't he?
Not with her. This was that was Jeff Loeb.
Yeah, that's
Jeff
right.
Loeb.
That's
King.
what I meant.
King. Oh, Tom King. Yep, Tom King's run on Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow.
There we go.
Batman's got to get his
due.
Got to get his due.
He's got to come off. He's got to get his due.
And they're going to be releasing a film about Batman titled Brave and the Bold. We know Brave and the Bold as very much a team-up comic. Famously, Brave and the Bold, issue 28 is the first appearance of the Justice League. It's Wonder Woman, Flash, Aquaman, Martian Manhunter.
Did you say Green Lantern?
Green Lantern, there we go, thank you. No Batman, no Superman.
Right, because they weren't initially in the Justice League, but Brave and the Bold is a Batman Superman comic, right?
World's Finest.
World's Finest. Okay.
Yes.
So Brave and the Bold is just Justice.
Just like it's just a team up book.
Just
like they do a bunch of team ups.
Okay.
So Brave and the Bold, they're going to focus on, oddly enough, Grant Morrison's run on Batman and Robin, in his run, it's Dick Grayson as Batman and Damian as Robin, but James Gunn said that it'll follow Bruce Wayne as Batman and his son, Damian, as Robin.
Right.
Which I have thoughts on, but Big Tuna, set us up.
Yeah, so Damian is raised by his mother, Talia al Ghul, in the League. He, very abruptly, there's a situation in which it's revealed to Bruce that he has a son. His son is a trained killer, and now he gets to go live with Dad.
Filler.
Yeah, much like my weekends with my dad. So it was the 90s. So the dynamic between the Batman, like, I won't kill, and the Damian, where it's like, what can't I kill? I think there's going to be some interesting dynamics. Batman, when you look at the totality of his story, has kind of been this brooding, sit-in-the-dark cave figure who repeatedly surrounds himself with people desperately needing a family. And so, we've heard that we're going to see appearances from other members of the Bat family. It is interesting that they're going with Robin number 4, bypassing 1, 2, and 3. We obviously had the Dick Grayson in the beloved Joel Schumacher Batman Forever and Batman Robin. And then we have not seen a film adaptation featuring Jason Todd / Red Hood, nor the third Tim Drake, although we've seen appearances of all 3 of those in the Titans HBO series, which is currently wrapping up on HBO Max. It looks like this current season will be its last, I believe. One thing that is interesting to point out, though, ties into Batman as well as the 2 most recent mentioned properties, Superman and Supergirl. is this idea that James Gunn has said that they are establishing this kind of Elseworld, this idea that you can have kind of this branch or this offshoot from the main universe, and you're going to be able to tell stories that kind of fit their own unique world. So Gunn did make clear that Joker 2 is coming out. We are going to be getting The Batman Part 2, Matt Reeves directed, Robert Pattinson returning. Obviously, no other details known at this time. But what is interesting about the Superman, and I think it's very easy to have forgotten, they are still slated to release the J.J. Abrams produced Val Zod, the so-called Black Superman, that is currently still slated for release. Again, not mentioned in the, not directly mentioned in the announcement that came today. So it's still believed that's still in the works. And then with Supergirl, we're going to see an adaptation of Supergirl in the upcoming Flash film coming out this summer. Now, does that mean that that actress that is playing Supergirl is going to play her in this this new film? That has yet to be determined. Gunn made it clear that some of the actors that have been cast, including Ezra Miller, Jason Momoa, Gal Gadot, Zachary Levi in the upcoming Shazam film, that there has not been a determination about whether or not they're continuing. Not in the same way that he made it clear that Henry Cavill is done as Superman. So I think some of their fates might rely on how the box office performance of their movies ends up being. And let's be real here. Warner Brothers Discovery has made it clear that they're willing to make choices when it comes to the bottom line. And so if they see that Aquaman 2 is not a hit, maybe we don't get an Aquaman 3. If they see Shazam 2 is not a big hit, maybe we don't see Zachary Levi again as Shazam. So I definitely think that while these new stories are interesting, I would also caution that we might not see everything settled. There might still be some things, some shakeups.
We got some loose ends probably coming up.
Yeah, absolutely.
This Brave and the Bold, I mean, where do you think this story... You have a problem with this, I'm assuming.
I have a problem with it just because they... this is a weird case. Like, there's so much story to tell us with Dick Grayson, with Jason Todd, and with Tim Drake.
Yeah.
That, like, the payoff is really strong in... when Damian becomes Robin, because you have these three other past Robins who have been able to pass on their knowledge, and you see like what his father adores most in them, and it's clear that Dick Grayson is his, like, you know, his real son,
sure.
You know, the most son-like.
Right.
And, I mean, even in the alternate reality of Injustice, Damian accidentally kills Dick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he throws a stick at him, and he usually catches it, but he's not paying attention. Hits him in the back of his head, and he falls and he dies.
That's how he goes out?
That's how he dies.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy. And, yeah. He's like, he usually catches
it. Dick with a stick?
Dick with the stick.
Okay, so you would like a slow burn on this.
I would like them to establish the Robin lineage, because that's what makes Robins cool.
Okay, but, you know, I think that... Do you think it'll be... Because, like, I do have questions. Like, how are... Do you think it's going to be told in flashbacks as far as, like, okay, we got to establish the league? You know, like, yeah. Okay. Jordan had a hot take on this with the villain.
Yeah, I think it would be a cool dynamic to either see. I feel like Ra's al Ghul is kind of an easy pick. I mean, it would pit, grandfather and dad and grandson kind of in this triangle of death, which sounds like a Bruce Lee movie. But I actually think a very clever pick would be the Jason Todd Red Hood. We would see, you know, this whole kind of revenge arc against Batman.
Right.
You've got Batman unwilling to kill. You've got a son who wants to be the Robin, to kill the Robin that failed his father, as he sees it, maybe. I think there's a lot of dynamics that could really lean into that idea of what Bruce sees in the Robin.
Absolutely.
So that would be interesting to see.
I think there's, like, also cool because, you know, in a weird way, you know, Bruce kind of birthed Jason Todd as Robin. And then we get him as a, you know, and then Ray rebirths him as the Red Hood with the Lazarus pit. So a lot of birthing metaphors going on here. With men.
You have to... You'll have to suffer the cruel fate of unbirth, Eric. Were either of you fans of the Swamp Thing TV show on a DC All Access?
I didn't watch it.
You didn't
Unfortunately,
watch it?
I heard it was okay.
I didn't see it, but I did hear a lot of people praise its dark tone.
Yes.
And there was definitely interest in it that came about too late to save the show.
Right. There's this awesome movie critic out there, Andy Mitchell, who really enjoyed the Swamp Thing.
Yeah, he said it was really good. That and Doom Patrol, he said, were like the best shows on like DC shows. But the most interesting news, and kind of out of left field, is the announcement of the Authority.
What?
Which Eric explained to us what the Authority is for
Authority,
the ladies.
is under the Wildstorm imprint, I believe, created by Brian Hitch and Warren Ellis.
You got it.
Yep, there we go. And it's basically Justice League who just takes no crap. They're tired of living in a world where crime is run rampant and getting the liberal soft hand, slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
And they want to go full tilt and just execute, the bad people, villains.
Yeah. Quasi boys.
Boys before boys.
Yeah.
With a more meaty story.
Yes. Yeah.
And, instead of Garth Ennis just being too Garth Ennis, this actually has a great story in there.
Yes, we have.
And the violence is just punctuation.
Yes, Apollo, who's a Superman-esque character.
Yes.
The Midnighter, who he knows every fighting style.
He was going to be the Batman counterpart. Then you got Jenny Sparks, who the woman of the 21st century, and basically can just
Vision meets Wonder Woman for lack of
right, but she's also got the Waller persona.
Yeah,
she puts the team together. Who's just the living embodiment of electricity.
Yeah,
and then we've got the Doctor, who is basically Forge. He just knows everything. Then the Engineer, who's kind of the Iron Man / Blue Beetle, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a great story. There's a lot of cool questions they could ask with this.
Yeah.
It's just like, what are you willing to do for peace? Is killing, just having a tough hand for peace, is that going to make things right?
Yeah. So that'll obviously put them at odds with the Justice League.
If this is in the same universe, are we assuming this is in the same universe? Is it going to be an Elseworlds story?
It doesn't sound like it's going to be Elseworlds because it was directly talked about at this. He didn't talk about the Batman other than to say that it will still exist.
Okay.
So my problem is that we're gonna have an Authority without the Justice League,
they didn't exist. Well, they didn't exist in the comics.
In that world. That's true, but this is going to apparently be part of the fabric of the DC,
which is crazy because these characters are almost parodies of the DC characters. Which I have no problem with them, because I know that they've met up in the comic books in the past, and it's been great. But we'll have to see.
That'll be something smart for James Gunn to get to, get to the equal kind of power people against each other.
Sure.
Civil War touched on it a little bit. Sure. But when you have
they were just sparring, basically.
When you have the entire Justice League against a team that has, if not more power, as much.
Pretty equal. Let's say pretty equal.
And, that don't want to hold back.
Yeah.
What kind of hero shows up to a fight drunk?
Right. The dangerous kind. Because, you have two people in the Justice League that fight dirty.
Yes.
You have Batman and Aquaman.
Yeah.
And then you have the other team that all fights dirty and plays for keeps.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I would love for Henry Cavill to be Apollo.
I would like Ben Affleck to be Midnighter or Flip Flop.
Yes, gentlemen, I think the only way that these two men, Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck, come back to the DCU is if Papa Zach brings him back. Now, they declined to say, they did say that the Authority is currently being written.
Right.
But they declined to say who was writing it. And so, my tiny conspiracy theory is that Zack Snyder might possibly be attached to this. I would love for him to write and possibly direct. It just feels like something where he could lean into a little bit of the, I wouldn't call it the cheese, but a little bit of that self hold a mirror to itself that we saw in Dawn of the Dead. But yeah, again, give us the hands-off the gloves off approach to crime fighting. It just feels like it could be give us an R-rated Justice League.
There we go.
Yeah. Just a way for him to sign off, play on all the jokes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He could take total jabs with this at the old regime.
Yes.
And if this takes place within the same universe as the Justice League, I could see Damian be like, "Why can't I play with those guys?"
Right.
Like,
I don't know. It begs many questions, and
I'm excited.
One of the big ones, I think, is how much does James Gunn know about the MCU?
Right.
Like where we're going, where does he know like what Kang Dynasty and Secret War is? He's got friends there that are going to be left.
Ooh.
That may beg another.
So that might
episode.
beg another episode.
And I think that might beg another episode. Kids, that's our show.
Right.
If you like what we're doing, please hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and click that
Tickle
little
the bell.
Yeah, give a little bell tickle and let us know what you think of these movie announcements. Where we're going. We're gonna be just kind of breaking this stuff down. I'm gonna keep processing this. We're gonna have more to talk about this as more news unfolds and as we start to see what you guys are talking about.
Right.
Eric, do you have any final thoughts?
I'm just happy we didn't have a Marvel-centric episode for once.
Yeah.
And I do have a question for Jordan. So, real quick, help me out. Okay, so we're gonna have what births what first here? So, Flash resets the universe.
Yeah. So to run through the current slate, we're gonna have Shazam: Fury of the Gods.
Okay.
We'll have to review that because my guess is you're not going to see it. We're going to have The Flash, which serves kind of as it was kind of being billed as a Flashpoint-esque story, bringing in two Batman, Michael Keaton, Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, and then they were like, we're done with that. And so this whole idea that the DCU will be reset with The Flash, leading then into Blue Beetle, which is coming to theaters this fall. And then Christmas Day, because everything says Christmas Day like the ocean, except for, I guess, Avatar. Maybe that does work. Is Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom. Lost of the Kingdom, Lost of the Seven Kingdoms. I don't know. They don't know. But from that point on, then, there is nothing, Gandhi ate more than this, nothing DC film until we get Joker 2
right
in 2024,
which is Elseworld,
but nothing DCU that they announced today on film until Superman Legacy. Again, we might get the Creature Commandos, Waller, Peacemaker season 2, maybe hitting before. But even Batman Part 2, which is further along than a lot of these other products, is not coming out until 2025. So there is a noticeable gap in the DC release calendar in 2024. So that's going to be very interesting to see if some things shift around and change, or if this is all part of the plan.
It's part of the plan. I love it when a plan comes together.
I do too. Kids, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I have been your host, Roman Chavez.
I'm still Erik. Hi, Chris.
And for the big tuna. Woo! We will catch you on the next podcast.